Hi, this is Chimes Media and I'm James Williams. Okay, it's well covered about Trump's State of the Union address in America, and as well I wanted to focus on a particular issue because you can go on for hours about that. It's quite fascinating. I think he did really well. He really aced it. I think he got about 80% approval for his speech. And then, of course, the 20% who don't approve him will never approve him because they're sort of complete anti-Trumpers anyway. But what was interesting is the feminists amongst the Democrats. That was kind of interesting. All wearing white. Kind of interesting, isn't it, that the white is the colour of the KKK. And what was it, Margaret Sanger, one of the early feminists, stood with the KKK. She was one of the founders of the Planned Parenthood clinics, which were strategically placed where there was lots of black people, with the express intention of exterminating black people, which shows her credentials from the past. And if you look at the suffragettes, because 2019 is supposed to be the century since the women got the vote in America anyway, and look at the suffragettes, what they were up to. They're all upper middle class type women. They weren't working class women. In fact, the suffragettes didn't want all women to have the vote. The British ones certainly didn't. They only wanted wealthy women to have it. They didn't want working class women to have it. They were never for the working classes, So they're never, these feminists, they're never all about all women. They're about their version of what women should stand for. And if a woman goes off track, and starts saying, well, hang on, it's not quite like this, she gets ripped apart by them. So they're a bunch of bloody hypocrites, really. But let's go on the abortion issue, right? So they seem to think it's okay. I mean, the way things are in the UK, I can't remember what week, is it 20 weeks, 21 weeks of pregnancy, and then after that time you've got to carry the pregnancy unless there's something drastically wrong, like something threatening the mother's life and that. But this sort of thing, this trend now to go up to pre-birth abortions, right up, and in fact there are calls for post-birth abortions, whichever way you count it, is murder, clear and simple. Now, I don't believe that most women will go for murdering a baby outright, the one that's been delivered and that's it. But what they're saying is it should go up to the time until the umbilical cord is parted, and until then you can kill the baby. Well, I can't imagine any woman doing that, but there's going to be some. But to allow it, to say that is legal, to do that, is completely criminal. Now, one of the arguments I've come across with working with the men's rights groups and things like that is this thing about abortion, that feminists will often say, well, you're a man, you have no right to say whether a baby's aborted or not. Well, I think we do have a proxy right, because you could argue that at least 50% of the fetuses coming out of the womb are male. But that aside, if you were able to ask a female fetus, do they want to be killed? I'm pretty sure they'd say no. But you can't ask them, obviously. But so, in a way, those who don't have babies, obviously men, and women who choose not to have babies, have a perfect right to say whether or not abortions are good or bad, or have a say in the matter, have a dog in the fight, sort of thing, because they've all been fetuses. They've all been in that position where they could have been aborted or not, and obviously they weren't, because that's why they're here. So I think that argument is rather exclusive, and it sort of negates the realities of nature. What's her name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I really can't see. It's astonishing why people in the States have supported this woman. She's a complete empty head, and a dangerous one as well. She had the gall to say that Trump didn't do his homework. He absolutely aced it. He knew exactly. He pulled all the plums out the tree, didn't he? He had disabled people. He had veterans from World War II there. He had an astronaut. Buzz Aldrin was there. He had a young girl, 10-year-old girl, who's with Melania, who had been raising money for cancer research and then got cancer herself. An incredible young little girl, 10 years of age. He pulled all the emotional stops out, and she said he didn't do his homework. She's a complete clown, but people support her, and she says out off the wall things, and she gets attention for it. By God, do you realise she's actually got a say in legislature now? She's like a bloody antichrist, if you believe in that, you know. Anyway, what was interesting as well, that the white-robed Ku Klux Klan style feminists in the Democrats, and I should point out that it was the Democrat Party who were the creators of the Ku Klux Klan and were key members. It was the Democrats who owned all the slaves. No Republican owned slaves, believe it or not. So the Republicans. I'm not keen on the Republicans. I think some of them are a bunch of cowards. They don't stand up for anything. They cave in, and they're sort of like an appeasement party. And it's lucky that Trump got anything through with them. But the wearing the white robes, or dresses, should I say, that they did, I think it was fitting. You know, when they were talking about late-term abortions and pre-birth abortions, they sat there in silence when Trump said he was against this because it was basically killing a baby, which it is in anyone sensible's mind. You know, a baby about to be born is a baby. I don't care if you've cut the cord or not. It's a baby, and to kill it before then or after is murder either way. But that's how it is. And these bitches, and they are utter bitches, sat there. And even when he came out, Trump did a record employment for women and that sort of, they were really reluctant to stand. And when they stand, if you watch it, all the applause was pointing at them as if they'd done something. All they've been doing has been against the Trump, who's actually been the most pro-female president we've had. Well, America's had anyway. I say we. It'd be nice if he was actually in charge of Brexit in Britain. We'd probably get it done. It would have been out by now and be flying down the road with good trade agreements all over the place. Instead of the clowns we've got at the moment who are trying to shut down free speech and everything else. But no, I wasn't impressed with the white-clad feminists. There was nothing about them appealing. I just see them as a sinister mob, and they're not for the likes of most people. You know, women like men want a family. Most of them want a family. You want a decent family and have some kids and have, you know, because when you have a child, it's something you personally, especially women, it's something you personally created. Nobody gave you the design model. Your biological form created it. It's a unique creature, something wonderful. You know, and I understand people have an abortion because they haven't got the economic means to look after a child. I understand all those arguments, and I'm sympathetic towards that. You know, and I think that it's sad that you have to go down the road of abortions, but at the end of the day, to sort of claim as a feminist that you represent all women except for those who don't agree with us, which are most women, I think, that's awful. Anyway, I think I've ranted enough for now. Until next time, take care of yourself.